In this video, we'll be taking a look at 4 NFL games happening on December 7, 2025, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 8 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 4 NFL games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start: if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Denver Broncos versus Las Vegas Raiders. The Denver Broncos visit the Las Vegas Raiders in Week 14 at Allegiant Stadium on Sunday. Denver arrives on a 9-game winning streak after a 27-26 overtime victory against Washington that showed again how well this team closes out tight games. Bo Nix has grown into the clear focal point of the Denver offense, with close to 3,000 passing yards and 19 touchdown throws. The attack stays balanced, with Courtland Sutton acting as the primary threat in the passing game, while J.K. Dobbins handles the bulk of the work on the ground. That mix keeps coverages honest and prevents defenses from loading up on one phase. Denver averages 340.8 yards per contest and has turned the ball over only 13 times, which limits short fields for opponents and supports their defense. Against this Raiders group, the matchup looks straightforward on paper. Las Vegas ranks 30th in total offense and sits last in rushing production. That weak ground game, only 75.4 rushing yards per outing, makes the Raiders one-dimensional. Denver can crowd passing lanes, send pressure, and push Las Vegas into clear passing downs where Geno Smith must carry too much of the load. The real strength for Denver sits on defense. The Broncos allow only 286.4 yards per game, which places them in the top handful of units in the league, and they give up just 18.2 points per game. They hold up against both the run and the pass, with a front that wins at the line of scrimmage and a secondary that rarely breaks. With Pat Surtain too back in full health, the coverage unit looks solid across the board and can match up with the Raiders receivers without constant safety help. On the other side, Las Vegas has dropped 6 games in a row and scores only 14.9 points per game. Geno Smith has 14 interceptions, which pairs with the poor rushing output to stall drives and keep the defense on the field. The lack of balance shows up in third down, in red zone trips, and in time of possession. Even if Max Crosby plays through his knee issue and has an impact rush off the edge, the Raiders' defense still surrenders close to 26 points per game, which does not offset their offensive issues. Denver has flirted with trouble in a few of these recent wins, but the defense continues to generate sacks and timely stops. The pass rush affects throws, the back end takes advantage of mistakes, and the low turnover count from the offense ties the whole formula together. Las Vegas looks stuck, with a locker room that knows the season has gone wrong and a team that appears ready for the schedule to wind down. When a hot, structured team with a top defense meets a cold offense that ranks near the bottom in scoring and rushing, the advantage sits with the group that controls the line of scrimmage, wins the field position battle, and protects the ball. In this spot, that profile fits Denver, so the expectation is that the Broncos both win the matchup and cover as the favorite. As our first pick for this matchup, the Denver Broncos to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Denver's defense again shapes the conversation on the total. The group allows only 18.2 points per game and sits in the top 5 against both the run and the pass. That level of consistency makes long scoring drives hard to find. Opponents struggle to rush with any efficiency and then face tight coverage when they fall behind the chains. Las Vegas sits near the other end of the spectrum. The Raiders average only 14.9 points per game and have the league's worst rushing output at 75.4 yards each week. The lack of a run game leaves Geno Smith in obvious passing spots, and his 14 interceptions highlight the risk that comes with that setup. Turnovers kill drives, flip field position, and pull the defense back onto the field. Denver's recent win against Washington followed a clear pattern. The Broncos played at a measured pace, leaned on Nix to manage the offense, and trusted a strong defense in an overtime game that did not turn into a track meet. That style works in different stadiums and weather because it rests on defense, ball security, and situational football rather than explosive scoring alone. The Raiders enter on a 6-game losing streak and have topped 20 points only once in that span. They struggle to stay on the field, fail to finish possessions, and often settle for punts or long field goal tries. Smith and Genty have not formed the backfield partnership that many expected. Smith sits close to even in touchdowns and interceptions, and Genty's 3.5 yards per carry with only one run over 20 yards shows a ground attack that rarely breaks loose or even stays on schedule. Denver's pass rush adds another layer. The Broncos lead the league in sacks at 4.3 per game, and they already bothered Smith in the earlier meeting between these teams. The Raiders' offensive line has trouble creating push in the run game and struggles in pass protection, which invites more negative plays, long yardage, and punts. Long yardage downs also raise the chances of interceptions, which often result in short fields but not always in quick touchdowns. Las Vegas still has enough on defense to test Knicks. The front can win some snaps, and the scheme can cloud reads. Knicks had real problems against the Raiders' zone looks in the first matchup, and Denver as a team has built a pattern of slow starts. Those factors trim the odds of a sudden offensive explosion from the Broncos, even if they hold the edge overall. The Raiders' offense, even after the move away from offensive coordinator Chip Kelly, remains stuck. The structure has not fixed the lack of a run game or the turnover issues. Facing a Denver defense that creates steady pressure on the quarterback, it is hard to see long, high-scoring stretches for Las Vegas. With one offense that prefers control and one that ranks near the bottom of the league in both scoring and rushing, this contest points to a lower total rather than a shootout. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Los Angeles Rams versus Arizona Cardinals. Hell has nothing on an angry Super Bowl favorite. The Rams rolled into Week 13 on a 6-game win streak and sat at the front of the Vince Lombardi Trophy race. Then Carolina stunned them with a 31-28 upset. Los Angeles still sits at the top of the Super Bowl betting market, but that kind of loss hits the pride of a head coach like Sean McVay and a veteran quarterback like Matt Stafford. Both should treat this divisional game with Arizona as a chance to reset the narrative and put a clear marker down. Stafford has put together a season that belongs at the center of the most valuable player debate. He has 32 touchdown passes, the highest total in the league by a wide margin, and only 4 interceptions. In 8 of his last 9 games, he has thrown at least 2 touchdown passes. He works through progressions, uses his arm talent to attack tight windows, and punishes single coverage. Against a Cardinals defense that sits in the lower half of league rankings against the pass, his skill set matches up well. Arizona has not disguised coverage as well and often leaves space in the intermediate zones, which plays into his strengths. The Cardinals bring a 3-9 record, yet they have not folded against stronger teams. They have gone toe-to-toe with Tampa Bay, Jacksonville, Green Bay, and Indianapolis, and they walked out of AT&T Stadium with a surprise win against the Cowboys. With Jacoby Brissett under center, the offense can move the ball, stay composed on obvious passing downs, and keep drives alive. The problem shows up on the other side of the ball. The defense has given up at least 27 points in 5 of the last 7 games and struggles to get off the field in key spots. You can build a case for Arizona with the points because both units sit below league average and the record reflects that. The offense leans on the passing game, while the defense leaks yardage in every area. The Rams, in contrast, have not dropped back-to-back games this season and treat each setback as fuel. They sit inside the top 10 in scoring on offense and in points allowed on defense. At the window, they reward backers as well, with an 8-4 record against the spread, and only Seattle owns a higher cover rate. Los Angeles has taken 6 wins from its last 7 games, while Arizona has dropped 9 of its last 10. The Rams bring one of the most complete offenses in the league. They can stretch the field through the air and stay efficient on the ground, which makes their play-action concepts even more dangerous. The Cardinals have weak spots against the pass and also give up chunks on the ground, so they face a long day when they try to slow this attack for 4 quarters. On offense, Arizona needs to keep pace through the air because the rushing attack ranks near the bottom of the league. Opponents do not respect the ground game, so they sit on routes and force Brissett into tight windows. That problem grows when they fall behind the chains or the scoreboard. The Panthers offer a reminder of what a balanced group like the Rams can do. Carolina has improved this year, with 6 wins and covers in 3 of its last 4 games as a double-digit underdog, yet it still drags some of the same issues from past seasons. The offense has finished with single-digit points in 3 of its last 5 games. The Rams' defense sits 9th in total defense and 1st in scoring defense. They tackle well, rush the passer with discipline, and close drives in the red zone. Against that profile, this version of the Panthers struggles to reach even even a modest total. That same defensive structure now gets to face an Arizona offense that lacks a strong rushing threat. With Stafford, Puka Nacua, and Kieran Williams all looking to wipe away the taste of the loss to Carolina, the setup favors a strong showing in all three phases from Los Angeles, and that supports a view that the Rams can both control the game and cover the number. As our first pick for this matchup, the Los Angeles Rams to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Both offenses can score, and the matchup places strength against weakness in several key spots. The Rams average 27.8 points per game, which ranks 6th in the league. Matthew Stafford leads one of the most efficient passing games, with 246.6 passing yards per game, 4th in the league. He attacks downfield, works the sidelines, and uses his receivers on in-breaking routes. On the other side, the Cardinals showed in their 20-17 loss to Tampa Bay that Jacoby Brissett can distribute the ball and sustain drives. He threw for close to 300 yards in that game and kept the offense in rhythm. Arizona's defense lets the total climb. The unit allows 25.3 points per game, which sits 24th in the league. The front struggles to hold the edge, and the back end gives up explosive plays. Los Angeles, while strong in points allowed at 2nd in the league, has some soft spots. Tight ends and slot receivers have found space against the Rams in recent weeks, and misdirection concepts have created confusion. The recent scoring trends help the case for a high total. Los Angeles has scored at least 34 points in 4 of its last 6 games. When the offense finds tempo, it moves fast, stacks first downs, and forces defenses to simplify coverages. Arizona has allowed at least 41 points in 2 of its last 4 games and has also watched Brock Purdy and Trevor Lawrence throw 3 touchdown passes each in that same stretch. That history does not help a defense about to face an angry Matt Stafford who wants his name back at the top of the most valuable player board. With the Patriots idle this week and less competition for the spotlight, defenses have lacked answers for the Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams tandem in this passing structure. They win on contested catches, separate out of breaks, and punish single coverage. Expecting a struggling Arizona secondary to reverse that trend in 1 week does not match what we have seen so far. At the same time, the Rams' defense has looked human at times. In the loss to the Panthers, they gave up 31 points as Bruce Young threw 3 touchdown passes, which put some strain on the back 7. The 49ers also put up 26 points on them in 2 separate meetings. The Cardinals have piled up the 5th most passing yards in the league this season. Brissett and his receivers run sharp routes, flood zones, and attack mismatches against linebackers. That profile gives them a path to move the ball and score, even if they face a top-tier defense. When you put a high-functioning Rams offense on the same field as an Arizona attack that can throw and a Cardinals defense that struggles to contain anyone, the posted total sits a bit low relative to the scoring paths that both teams create. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Chicago Bears versus Green Bay Packers. The Chicago Bears visit the Green Bay Packers on Sunday in NFC North play at Lambeau Field. Chicago enters with a narrow lead in the division race over Green Bay, even though this matchup takes place on the road. The Bears ride a 5-game winning streak and have put up at least 24 points in 4 of those victories. They keep pulling out tight results, often in one-score games, and they have handled that pressure well. Green Bay comes in with 3 straight wins, including a road victory over the Lions in their last outing. The Packers' offense has swung between strong stretches and dry spells this season, but the defense has played at a very high level and has often carried the load. Lambeau gives them a clear edge in comfort and routine. The series history tilts hard toward Green Bay. Since 2010, the Packers have taken 26 of 31 meetings with the Bears, and that kind of long run explains why the market leans toward the home side again. The Packers sit at home, play their best ball there in many seasons, and face a rival they have dominated over time. Odds makers respect that track record. This version of Chicago looks different from many of those past opponents. The Bears rank inside the top 10 across the board on offense, with an elite rushing attack that sets their identity. Their defense still shows rough season-long numbers, yet in 3 of the last 4 games it has held foes to 20 points or fewer. That includes key stops in late-game spots. The Bears sit at 5-1 straight up and against the spread in their last 6 games as an underdog. which shows how often they have exceeded expectations when the line tilts against them. They also sit in range for the top seed in the National Football Conference if results break their way, which gives this run extra weight and focus. Getting a full touchdown on the spread with that profile creates real value on the roadside. Green Bay still has enough at home to grind out a win, but the current number asks them to separate from a Chicago team that has excelled in close games and leans on a strong ground attack and improved defense. The points align with the Bears' side in this setup. As our first pick for this matchup, the Chicago Bears to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. Chicago has been one of the top over teams in the league, with an 8-4-0 mark on totals this season. Yet 3 of the last 4 Bears games have landed under the number. The shift comes from a defense that has tightened up, allowing 20 points or fewer in 3 games during that run, including road wins in Philadelphia and Minnesota where they controlled the pace. Chicago will look to drag Green Bay into that style again, limit possessions, and lean on its ground game and turnover edge. Green Bay just scored 31 points in a Thursday win at Detroit, but the Packers have not shown that same punch at Lambeau. Across their last 3 home games, they have combined for only 43 total points. In their first 3 home wins, they scored exactly 27 points each time and then cooled off. For the season at home, Green Bay sits at 5-0 to 1 to the under, with no game at Lambeau reaching more than 45 combined points. On the road, they sit at 6-1-0 to the over, so the home and away splits point to a clear shift in how their games play based on venue. Sunday's total sits at 44.5, right below that upper home range. The Bears rushed for 281 yards in last Friday's 24-15 win in Philadelphia, with Kyle Monangai running for 130 yards and DeAndre Swift adding 125 yards. Chicago leans on that strength again, but this time it faces the 8th-ranked rushing defense by yards per game, as Green Bay allows 98.3 rushing yards on average. That strength-on-strength matchup favors longer drives and fewer explosive plays. During this 5-game winning streak, quarterback Caleb Williams has thrown 8 touchdown passes with only 1 interception, and he has thrown 1 touchdown pass in each of the 2 meetings with the Packers in 2024. Chicago leads the league with 17 interceptions and holds a plus 17 turnover margin, a huge number over this span. On the other side, Green Bay quarterback Jordan Love has thrown only 3 interceptions, so both teams protect the ball well and force opponents into mistakes. That mix often cuts into total scoring. Both passing games work through personnel issues. Chicago plays without Odunze, its leading pass catcher this season, which affects Williams when he needs to improvise and push the ball downfield. Green Bay remains without Kraft, who had started to emerge as one of the better tight ends in the league before his absence. These missing pieces cap some of the ceiling in the passing game on both sides. Each team picked up recent wins over the Vikings and Giants, but the level of resistance in this matchup climbs, with 2 motivated defenses and key skill players out of the lineup. That kind of setup favors tighter drives, more runs, and fewer big pass plays, which pulls the total down rather than up. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Houston Texans versus Kansas City Chiefs. 13 weeks into the season, few analysts would have predicted that Houston would hold the stronger record in this meeting. At 7-5, the Texans sit back in the AFC South race after the Colts' recent slide, losing 3 of their last 4 games, including last Sunday's defeat against this same Houston team. That loss pulled Indianapolis back toward the pack and kept Houston fully engaged with clear stakes in Week 14. Houston rides a 4-game winning streak, and the backbone of that surge is the defense. At this stage, the unit has a clear identity as one of the league's elite groups, and it has allowed more than 300 yards only 3 times all year. Opponents struggle to sustain drives, and Houston's defense often dictates both tempo and field position. The offense has not needed to dominate. During this 4-game run, the Texans averaged 338 yards per game, which is enough when paired with their defense. Davis Mills has delivered steady play, and the recent return of C.J. Stroud adds stability to the passing game. Together, they give Houston baseline production each week while the defense limits opposing attacks. Rookie running back Woody Marks gains a larger workload as the season moves along, with 19 carries for 64 yards in Week 13, and his presence offers a more dependable ground game. On the other side, Kansas City faces pointed criticism again. Patrick Mahomes still produces standout moments, and there are stretches when the Chiefs resemble their old form. Yet this version of the offense looks looks closer to the strain we see in Buffalo, and not in a positive way. Mahomes carries too much of the burden to keep the group efficient. The supporting cast does not match previous years, and the offensive line in particular falls short. Mahomes has taken 3 or more sacks in each of his last 5 starts, which tilts the margin of error against them. The defense in Kansas City shows cracks as well. The Chiefs rank 20th in total defensive expected points added, and last week Dak Prescott and the Cowboys piled up 457 yards in a 31-28 win. Houston does not mirror Dallas in explosive talent, but that type of result raises concern in Kansas City. At 6-6, the Chiefs are not in crisis, helped by a manageable remaining schedule with 3 home contests and road trips to Tennessee and Las Vegas. Still, the data on both sides of the ball points to a team that leans on its stars more than its structure. Under Andy Reid, Kansas City often tightens up in December. In 3 of the last 5 seasons, the Chiefs went 4-0 in December, and in the other 2 they went 3-1 and 1-3. This group, however, does not mirror previous editions in most underlying measures. The matchup with Houston sends them into a physical test. The Texans' defense can keep them within striking distance even if their own offense fails to find rhythm for long stretches. Houston's defense ranks first in opponent yards per game at 265.7 and first in points allowed at 16.5 per contest. In the 20-16 win against Indianapolis, the Texans controlled the game by limiting Jonathan Taylor and forcing Daniel Jones into difficult throws in tight windows. C.J. Stroud has played with control. The offense avoids major mistakes and has committed only 10 turnovers, the 7th fewest in the league. That blend of ball security and physical defense, especially at the line of scrimmage, gives Houston a strong foundation to stay close to Kansas City. The matchup on that side of the ball is direct. Mahomes remains one of the most dangerous quarterbacks in the league, yet the Chiefs enter this game after losing 3 of their last 4 and after that 457-yard concession to Dallas in a 31-28 defeat. Houston ranks in the top 5 against both the run and the pass, so the Texans have the personnel and scheme to crowd Travis Kelce, squeeze passing lanes, and force Mahomes into long drives that require many third-down conversions. With that setup, every negative play for Kansas City becomes more costly. This game sets up as a strong watch. The stakes are clear for both teams, and the path to a result runs through 60 contested minutes. The Chiefs hold an edge in high-end offensive capability, while the Texans may own the best defense in the league this season. Houston's ability to generate pressure, win at the line, and avoid breakdowns in the secondary shapes the likely flow of the evening. Houston expects Will Anderson-Jr. to play. Anderson-Jr. and Danielle Hunter have formed a productive pass rush for the Texans, and together they have 21.5 sacks and 26 tackles for loss. By comparison, the entire Chiefs defense has totaled 22 sacks and 48 tackles for loss. That gap reflects how consistently Houston's front disrupts backfields and forces offenses into second and third and long. Kansas City still has a path to control the game if Mahomes delivers another high-end performance, but covering a large margin against this defense requires clean protection and sustained success on early downs. The Chiefs' current form, along with their protection issues, lowers the margin for a comfortable win and keeps the likelihood of a tight margin in view. As our first pick for this matchup, the Houston Texans to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. The Texans' defensive profile continues to support that view. Their unit ranks first in opponent scoring at 16.5 points per game and first in yards allowed at 265.7 yards per game, and they sit in the top 2 in third down defense with opponents converting only 33.77% of attempts. Kansas City's offense still qualifies as a top-tier group in the aggregate. The Chiefs rank first in overall expected points added and sit in the top 4 in expected points added per pass and expected points added per rush. That stems from a rare quarterback and a play caller who have worked together at a high level for 7 years. Even so, flaws show through this season. Mahomes has already taken 27 sacks through 12 games, the highest rate of his career. Against strong defenses, he has met clear resistance, averaging only 240 passing yards per game with a 61% completion rate in games against the Chargers, Eagles, and Broncos. Houston's pass defense grades as the best, or one of the best across nearly all core metrics. The Texans rank first in defensive expected points added per pass, and they sit in the top 3 in opponent yards per pass at 6.3 and in opponent completion rate at 58.4%. On top of that, the Chiefs' offensive line arrives in poor health and form, with 3 of 5 starters listed as questionable and 2 trending in the wrong direction. The Kansas City run game offers only modest help, ranking 15th in yards per rush at 4.4, and Houston's run defense ranks 3rd in opponent rushing yards per game. On offense, Houston does not carry the same weight. That fits the way they play. C.J. Stroud has delivered solid work, but not at an elite level, and the Texans average 21.9 points per game, which ranks 21st in the league. The trip to Arrowhead on a cold and windy night works against a major breakout. Steve Spagnuolo's defense had a poor outing last week, but still poses problems in coverage and in pressure schemes. Given Houston's recent form, with more than 23 points scored only once in the last 5 games, a surge on that side of the ball appears unlikely. Kansas City's pass rush has room for improvement, but the defense as a whole remains competent. The Chiefs have enough structure and enough talent to limit a Houston offense that leans on efficiency rather than explosive gains. Houston understands that its best chance lies in defensive execution, field position, and long drives that shorten the game. Both defenses shape this matchup in a clear way. Houston allows only 16.5 points per game and 265.7 total yards per game, and Kansas City sits 7th in scoring defense at 19.3 points allowed while ranking in the top 10 against both the run and the pass. Those numbers reduce the odds of a track meet. Mahomes and Stroud both have the ability to produce big plays, yet the Texans prefer slow, grinding games. Their 20-16 win against Indianapolis followed that script, and even in the 31-28 loss to Dallas, the Chiefs' offense needed long, sustained possessions to move the ball. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed, subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.